So after about 13 to 14 hours of gameplay on ultra violence difficulty, which is the equivalent of like a hard difficulty, I have finally beaten Doom the Dark Ages. And there is a lot of weird controversy surrounding this game. And overall, I just wanted to say I really do like this game. This is a great entry into the Doom franchise. I had a ton of fun, and I'm definitely going to go back after I'm done with this video and platinum the entire game because it was really good. And honestly, the platinum is just not difficult at all. There are no difficulty bound achievements in the game currently, so I think that might be kind of a side effect of putting it on Game Pass and kind of wanting it to be an easier platinum for people. But overall, with the overall package as a Game Pass user, at least, I'm happy with what I got. I paid to get the extra early access, like I think it was $30 to get the premium upgrade for the game, and it wasn't just for early access. It comes with the season pass, and I plan on playing all of the DLC as I did with Wrath of the Ancient Gods. I played this on a 5080 and a 9800 Hex 3D. I actually picked up a 5080 like after the game came out, so I did have some time on my old 3080. Honestly, it's decently optimized. I was playing on 1440p, but I can't say anything after I went to a 5080. Obviously, I don't know how it is on a worse CPU, and the game is locked right now to RTX enabled cards, which is a huge L. I was expecting a game that could run on older graphics cards, so it really sucks that the industry is going in this way. Obviously, now I have a NASA computer, but before I had a 3080 and it ran pretty modestly, especially with frame gen on. But as far as combat goes and the game in general, this is Doom. This is a quality entry in the Bethesda era of Doom, and I really did enjoy every single part of this game. I will say that it is a little bit of a lull in the beginning. I can see why people wouldn't get into this immediately, but if you give it a little time, it does pick up in the middle, and this is a very ending heavy game, like tremendously ending heavy. There is a ton of story in this one compared to the other Doom games where you would have to sit down and like actually pay attention to the lore. They kind of hold your hand a little bit more, give you a ton of cutscenes, and kind of explain things a little better, so you can actually follow along with the plot line a little more coherently, and I like that. Unfortunately, some of the missions didn't really hit home for me, specifically the ones where the Doom was inside of like a giant titan or driving around his dragon. Those were really solid missions. They gave like an open world kind of feeling, and ripping and tearing in the titan was a ton of fun, but after the initial like one or two levels of going through that, it did get very old and monotonous, and I think this goes back to a lot of the criticism that people are giving the game. They're saying it's very parry heavy or dodge heavy. When it comes to the levels, especially the ones with like the dragon involved, yeah, there's a lot of dodging and weaving and all of this perfect timing stuff, and by the end of the game you're definitely sick and tired of the titan battles. It does get old, I get that, but as far as like the actual core Doom guy gameplay, it's awesome. There's tons of weapons. There is a ton of melee weapons. There's 3 in this game. You get like a mace, you get the regular fist, and then you get a flail as well. So there's a ton of different opportunities there to change up the gameplay. I pretty much went with the flail the entire game. It was just way too much fun to actually use, and it has 3 charges, and for some reason every time I was hitting somebody with the flail, I was just thinking rip and tear in my head because, you know, just the syllables, and it has 3 charges, so it was a lot of fun, especially with the music running in the background. And speaking of the music, it really wasn't as good as Doom Eternal, but it still does its job. I mean, the new composer had an impossible task. We're talking about Mick Gordon. We're talking about like god tier Doom music, so I get it. It does its job, and the ending soundtrack is like amazing. They chose the perfect one. I couldn't get enough of it. It was a really long level for the last level of the game, and you get to hear that soundtrack a ton when you're in combat. Of course, we have our centerpiece of the game, the big gimmick here. We have the shield. The shield is an absolute blast. It adds a ton of variety into the game, and it really puts some movement into the game as well. You can zoom across the battlefield and pummel normal enemies from like 50 plus feet away. You can like zoom across the battlefield and get out of a bind really quickly. You can throw the shield and sacrifice it so you don't have it, and it'll get lodged in a tougher enemy, and it will take them out of the combat for a couple of seconds if you need a bit of a breather with the larger enemies. And there are a few upgrades for it that will change up the way that the blocking works. So if you block a perfect attack or like a parry attack, it's like a green kind of bar that the enemy throws at you, or like a green piece of energy. You will do things like throw out a bunch of knives at a bunch of enemies on the battlefield. You'll electrocute people, which will work really well with like the energy rifle. So like overall, it's a solid addition to the game, and it is a fun gimmick. Every Doom, especially the newer ones, have had like some type of gimmick in them, whereas Doom 2016, I mean, the real gimmick was that Doom is back, but Doom Eternal had all the double jumping and the movement mechanics, and this Doom, the Dark Ages, has the shield. That's its gimmick. That's its big, thing. The centerpiece for the game is the shield, and it definitely transforms the combat and makes a really fun and exciting game to play. And it's really satisfying when you go through like 5-10 minute long fights and you are absolutely zooming everywhere and constantly fighting off enemies. It is an absolutely great game loop. Like, the gameplay loop is awesome, and they just keep stepping up one after another with Doom. I'm not saying that Doom Eternal wasn't a great game, but I wasn't really expecting something as fast as Doom Eternal, and in exchange from that, I got a really good experience. I think a lot of Doom fans might think of this as like a black sheep, but in Doom standards, that's a really high standard to even be a black sheep of these 3 games. They didn't completely reinvent the wheel like they did going from Doom 2016 to Doom Eternal, but they kept just enough of the guts of Doom Eternal and just enough of the guts of Doom 2016, making things feel a little bit darker this time around. And I really liked the art style, the design, and the overall fighting that was just constantly going on. And it really makes this a huge recommend for me, especially if you've played previous Doom games and you are a fan of Doom 2016 or Doom Eternal. Now, I've definitely glazed a bit here and talked about a lot of the stuff that I liked, but let's talk about something that I don't really like. So I have a really big criticism of like the core way that the game operates, not in the gameplay itself, but in the upgrade system. So they brought a currency system into the game, like a gold currency system. And there are other systems in the games as well. There's like rubies and different emeralds that you can pick up to upgrade weapons, and you bring them to an upgrade station, and that's how you upgrade your weapons and get all of your modifications for them. And it even works for melee weapons as well as the shield. I don't like this. I miss the Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal upgrade system. I prefer being rewarded by actually playing the game and doing well in combat and discovering secrets and exploring the world, and not just constantly opening up my minimap to find every little piece of gold in the level. And I'm just not a fan of this system. I think the rubies are kind of cool, but other than that, it doesn't feel natural. It feels like I'm doing a lot of backtracking, which is normal for a Doom game and going for secrets, but doing a backtrack to find like 1 or 2 measly pieces of gold just wasn't fun for me. And I think by the end of the game, I wish that my comfort level was tested a little more. I wish that they gave me more challenges for all of these weapons that would directly give me more abilities and powers for the weapons that I currently had, versus me just upgrading them with gold and then giving me a mastery challenge to check off a checklist just before I would get an achievement to pop for completing masteries. It's just not as satisfying as the older systems. I do, however, really like the upgrade systems for the core mechanics, like your health, like your ammo, like your armor. All of that's really good. We used to have like gore nests in Doom Eternal where you would break the nest and you would complete a bunch of challenges to get like upgrade points and rewards. They replaced that with a system to where you would find one in the map, you would open it perhaps with a key or something, and then you would find the nest and hit it with the shield and it would activate the encounter, and there would be like a ton of demons to get rid of, and there's like a health bar, but underneath that health bar is like a smaller bar, and it's like a morale bar. So you have to kill as many demons as you possibly can, and once the morale bar bars all the way down, then the big baddie will actually be vulnerable, and you do your thing, you mow him down, you get the health bar down, and then you do a finishing move and you take his heart out and you destroy it, and then that gives you your buff for your health or whatever that actual enemy gives you, which I love. I thought that was a ton of fun. And now thinking about it, like at the end, thinking about glory kills right now, they're not in the game. Well, they're kind of in the game. They happen sometimes. It's not really something that's super scripted. It happens occasionally. And honestly, I don't exactly miss them. It's kind of weird, but getting locked into an animation and just constantly doing that over and over and over again is definitely beaten out by throwing your shield at a group of imps to get health, or flailing around your flail to get some armor pickups, or using a weapon and applying burn on the shotgun to get even more armor drops. So overall, I don't really miss glory kills. I don't. I think they actually did a good job with the pacing of the game. It makes it feel a lot faster. I think if the glory kills were in the game, it would feel a ton slower than Eternal, like way slower than Eternal. But overall, like, I'm happy with this game. I got what I wanted out of it. I just want more at this point. Like, if I have like any detractors, it would be that I wish there was more challenges, and I wish there was more for me to go back and replay again versus just trying to platinum the game and get all of the upgrades. I really wish I could go back and try to do the encounters even better, like in Doom Eternal, and unfortunately that's just not in this game. So with my reviews, if you made it all the way to the end and you're like, okay, what's this guy gonna give the game score wise? We live in a time where everybody's just hyper focused on whatever the hell the journos have to say and their stupid numeric scores. Look at the gameplay, think of the things that I said. If it sounds right to you, pick it up. I'm giving a recommendation for it. I'm not going to put this on a numerical scale, at least in video form. I have like a big thread on Twitter where like when you write it down, it makes it more interesting to put like a numerical score, but you guys have like a 12-minute long video to look at all of this gameplay and all of the things I'm yapping about. I recommend it. If it's not for you, it's not for you. If it is for you, it is for you. If you want to own the game, buy it off of Game Pass, just buy it full price or buy it when it's on sale. And if you want to get a deal, just buy a Game Pass subscription and play it on Game Pass, because that's realistically how I've been playing a ton of my games, is on Game Pass. Anyways, with that being said, this has been Nick or Per Reborn, your favorite washed YouTuber. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for all that. Might come back. It's been really crazy with the channel, but yeah, see you guys in the next one.